In this week's episode of Making with Luke and Ajahn, we talk about the transition from creativity and projects in a college environment to creating at home in isolation. We geek out about Avatar the Last Airbender, and we fall down a YouTube rabbit hole where we discuss the changes in popular social platforms due to the pandemic and some creators we like. This episode is just a conversation between the two of us, so it's a little different from the other episodes. We hope you enjoy. How did you feel like in the first half of the semester relative to the projects we were working on, both in journalism and in nonfiction production?
I was super excited. So being able to work on a super in-depth, super in detail project like the hemp one that we were planning on making, I was pumped. I was super excited. The amount of research that went into it, even before we got onto campus, was pretty, like, it was a good amount of work that we put in. So yeah, it was all eyes on the future, and I was getting ready to go and film and go out and adventure and meet new people, like your connections that you had, and then at the same time go to Hudson Hemp and meet those guys and just start building that like base of people that we're able to like learn from and use to our advantage in terms of our documentary and our resources.
Yeah, and like the thing is obviously, like we discussed previously, we had to vote on the process to be able to like have our doc approved and worked on, but we started it in first semester. If you think about it, like we watched
December, right?
Yeah, we watched the screenings of the nonfiction production projects from first semester, and we were like, let's work together next semester. And that's when like the idea phase started. And then over winter break is when I sent you that hemp email, and we started working there. So the effort was all there.
Right.
And like we were putting in a lot of work and research for a documentary that I think was going to be and could still be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm concerned about is having to postpone it potentially forever. Because I know when we kind of we had to step away from it when we shifted to online, and the plan is to try to shoot it in the fall. But now with the later start date and not knowing what the climate is going to be like, I don't know when we'll be able to work on it.
I'm optimistic. We're going to get on campus and fingers crossed, everything's going to work out. But going back to what you said about like us having the sort of pre-production, not even pre-production, but just like brainstorming ideas during that winter break. When we got back on campus and everyone was trying to come up with an idea, we already had our idea and we were researching. So we were super ahead of the game.
Yeah. Plus, we like knew we wanted to work together, and we didn't have to form a group based off of an idea.
We did have to finesse the group.
Yeah, we did finesse it. But like, I think the other thing was we picked each other because of our skills and like similar interests, even before we picked the idea, right? And so then we went through that whole brainstorming phase and we're pitching around different ideas. And in that process, like you came up with some projects that we want to do in the future, like ones that you're working on, like right now, like the one about rap in Boston.
Yeah.
And whereas the other groups, they were kind of formed sort of by skill, but also by interest in the topic. Everyone suggested their idea. And then it was like, John had us go around and say what our specialty was or what we were most interested in. And some people were like, oh, I like audio. Oh, I like pre-production. Oh, I like post-production. Right. And so then groups kind of formed that way. And I think for the most part, people liked their groups, but there were definitely some issues.
Yeah, for sure. There were definitely some challenges that arose over the semester that they had to navigate. So yeah, we're definitely lucky that everything worked out and we were able to work together, because I feel like the fact that we're so comfortable with each other creatively gives us the ability to be like, dude, you know what, I don't really like that idea, and then you'll be like, I don't really like how you did this, and then we could just bounce ideas off of each other, and it just made the whole process fun.
Yeah, plus go ahead.
I was just gonna say, whereas if somehow that like our original plan didn't work out and we had to have a different person, I feel like that dynamic definitely would have changed. it would have been a little less. At the end of the day, the stuff we're working on is supposed to be fun, right? This is what we've
Yeah.
dedicated our life to, essentially. So we're supposed to be having a good time, and it should be a valuable experience.
Yeah. And the thing about it is like you said, the comfort thing, we had that great weekend at uh Amos Iddle and Sons, their
Yeah,
farm. And the thing was is during that time, there were a couple instances where we suggested that one of us gets a certain shot. Like you'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to shoot this real quick. Why don't you shoot something over there?" Like get that perspective. But then at the same time, for most of it, we kind of just were going. Like
right,
we knew what we needed, we knew what the other one would want and like our styles are similar in that way where we were just literally just doing what the other would
exactly.
do or ask the other to do without that communication there, which
Mhm.
made things go so much easier because we were able to actively engage with Bill when we were in the greenhouses and be talking with other people, all while capturing content and being aware of what was going on.
Right. Yeah, completely agreed. That weekend was just a great weekend. Not even just from a creative standpoint, but just
Yeah.
like Bill and his family's so it's just great people, and the car ride there, and just like the whole experience was great.
Yeah. And I mean, I think part of that, and like because that was so great, and we were expecting a similar experience with Hudson Hemp, I think part of that is what made going home for because of like quarantine and having to postpone the project like made it so difficult was
Yeah,
we had high hopes for what was to come.
for sure. Yeah, definitely an unfortunate. We were both looking forward to it. But how did you handle that first week or so after they had announced that we weren't going to be going back? How did you handle that shift?
I mean, I was pretty bummed out, obviously.
Yeah,
Um, and honestly, I feel like I fell into a creative slump, I
mhm,
would say, because we were working on this doc, we were drafting another doc for journalism purposes, and just figuring out all these different things that would be serious work that would have worked well together as like a two-part docu-series kind of thing.
right.
And all of a sudden, it was like having a carpet like ripped out from under my feet.
Yeah,
I was concerned and worried about what we were going to do in nonfiction production because the purpose of that class is to make a documentary.
right.
I was thinking, okay, we're going to have to write an article now, which,
Oh,
as I said before, ended up working out great.
yeah. Well, it
But
wasn't look initially. I was not like keen on that.
yeah, I was not too pleased. But
And also for people listening who don't understand what we're talking about when we say the hemp doc, we're essentially planning on making a documentary highlighting and emphasizing the benefits of hemp, and addressing the stigma around hemp, because a lot of people think it's the same thing as marijuana, and so our documentary was going to address those concerns, and talk about the just different purposes of hemp and how you can use it to really just change. It's a revolutionary crop.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about.
yeah. And then, so moving forward, then, like we were a couple weeks, or was it maybe 1 or 2 weeks into
Yeah,
quarantine because we had the extended spring break. So that was kind of the beginning, like that weird detox period.
yeah,
But then online classes started picking up again. And in nonfiction production specifically, the conversation came up as to what are we going to do now?
yeah.
And ultimately, after kind of bouncing different ideas around, we settled on everyone making their own personal doc about what COVID-19 taught them.
Mhm.
So shifting from telling a story about someone else, like, I mean, I guess theoretically you could have told a story about yourself in nonfiction production, but it was
It's more focused on other
suggested.
people. Yeah, it's other people's stories.
Yeah. And so now it was shifting to something personal, which for a lot of people, including myself, is much more uncomfortable, kind of
Absolutely.
diving deep. So how did things go for you working with that and kind of picking your idea and just walk through the whole process, I guess?
Yeah, so I mean, I wasn't super like excited to work on what COVID taught me, um, because I knew I would have to be making a film like me being the main character and being in front of the camera. I was the whole time I was like, dude, I chose this field so I would be behind the camera,
Yeah.
and here I am. We gotta like act and stuff. So it started off kind of slow. I was definitely in a creative slump. Changed the idea that I had, I think, 3 or 4 times. I started off wanting to talk about the e-learning industry and how people are like during quarantine are um, trying to fill in gaps of the day, right? Trying to take their mind off of what's going on. And so a lot of people were trying to learn a new skill. So people were going on YouTube and searching up how to play the guitar or how to knit or sew. So a lot of people were learning online. And so I wanted to focus on that. But the more I tried to investigate and the more I tried to build out that story, it didn't really go the way I planned. Um, and so it sort of weaved itself into this way of like searching for my own journey during quarantine, trying to teach myself certain skills, and then also just getting back into the creative groove because at that time I was like, I have no ideas right now, and the idea that I have kind of sucks. What am I going to do? And so I was like, you know what, screw it. Let me just document this process of me being in a slump and then seeing my family. Like my family was killing it over quarantine. They were reading books and working on art and stuff. And meanwhile, I was in my bed watching Netflix. So I was like, motivation, let me go do something. So I ended up doing a couple videos for my dad and I documented that whole experience. And then that eventually turned into what COVID-19 taught me about staying on track.
Yeah.
And I talk about Malcolm Gladwell. I think I mentioned this in the interview of me in that first episode or the second episode, where I basically talk about how it takes 10,000 hours to master your craft. And I had dedicated myself to that goal. But during quarantine, being so bummed out, I was not with my friends and I was in such a great place at school. And all of a sudden it was all like ripped away from me. I had lost sight of that. So it's like getting that vision back. And yeah, by the end, I basically tie it all together and I'm like, the grind never stops. That's the thing that I've been preaching all my life, really, and that I've been taught all my life. And just getting that back. That's what my film is about. How about
Yeah.
you?
It's interesting because with your film, it's like what I noticed because we like for the viewers and listeners, we constantly bounce ideas back and forth off of each other.
Mhm.
And like for our own personal projects, like these were individual, we were like still asking each other like
Mhm.
for critique and advice and things like that. And in the early phases, like it still had a lot of potential, in my opinion. And like the content you were putting together was good, but like I could tell it wasn't quite what you wanted. And
Mhm.
I think part of why that is because it's easy to research, right? I mean, to an extent.
Yeah.
You got Google, you got whatever you want, you can look things up, but in an instance where you can't actually go or
Right.
like talk to people face to face, things like
Other
that,
than yeah, other than the people in my house for sure.
yeah, it makes it a lot harder. Like in a
Yeah.
story, in a time in which you're cramped up and trying to do something about a lot of other people, it just becomes harder because not only are you worrying about that story, but you're worrying about yourself.
Yeah. That's true. And also on top of all that, well, actually, in addition to that, it's like if I'm not able to do what you said and go out and make connections with the people that are experiencing this, I'm not as invested in that idea as I should have been,
Yeah.
which is obviously that's not a huge incentive to pursue that idea.
Yeah. But then, so moving into mine, I faced a similar problem and actually similar topic that you did at first.
Yeah,
I
we
was going to talk,
without even discussing about it, we had very similar topics. So
yeah, which we were informed about by our teachers actually, or our
yeah,
teacher. He was like, your guys' ideas are kind of similar.
right, right. And we're like, you know what? That's no surprise right now.
Yeah. But I was going to talk about what I was learning online and how, like, what I think originally I was going to do, what COVID-19 taught me about exploring.
Mm,
And I was talking about how back at school, I was exploring all the time. I was going fishing, I was hiking, doing all these things in the outdoors that I couldn't do in the same capacity when I got home. So I switched to exploring online, and I was consuming content from masterclass and online classes and trying to learn things and make good use of my time. But when I was trying to make it into a film, I couldn't figure out how to do it
Yeah.
because I didn't have enough like footage from times back at school to bring in.
Mhm.
And I also didn't know how to deliver the lines now. Like now, I didn't want it necessarily to be a voiceover, but I also didn't want to be a character. So this is when the whole kind of creative disaster process started going through. So I wrote up the whole script.
Mhm.
And first off, it was really hard to keep it under 2 minutes. We were supposed to keep it under 2 minutes and 15 seconds, which people end up not sticking to at all.
Yeah.
But um, I had to read it so fast in order to fit that time. But I vlogged the whole thing. Like I was just walking around in the woods, and each line would be me holding the camera out in a different location in the woods.
Mhm.
And I came back and I put the footage in order. Absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
Like it was
I
horrible.
remember you texting me that.
Yeah, it was so bad. And then for the next 3 weeks, honestly, like I was going through, we'd have class with everyone on Monday and then individual meetings on Wednesday. And every Wednesday it was, John, I don't know how I'm going to do this doc.
Yeah.
And I started having different ideas about how to do it. And one of which was to print out a bunch of photos and shoot them from the top down and do something with that and have those go through. And that wasn't right either. I just wasn't conveying the story right. And then I was scrolling through TikTok actually, and I saw a quote from The Office where Andy Bernard is talking about like the past
There we go.
and how you don't know. Like he said, the one thing I wish is that like I believe it says, I wish you knew you were in the good old days before they were gone or something like that. I'll probably insert the quote here so it's right.
I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them.
Yeah.
But that like really stuck with me. And that was like 3 days prior to when I was really sitting down. I had moved stuff around in my room trying to shoot these photographs that I'd printed out, and it just wasn't right. And I was sitting there and I had like broken down to my parents. Like I didn't like cry about it, but I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do for this doc, and it's due on Monday. Like this was Saturday. I had 2 days.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like that quote just was slamming my forehead.
Mhm.
And so I basically just wrote a poem about the good old days, but like I improved it. Like I took the advice of my teacher and I just sat down and I found a song that I liked that I wanted to use, and I listened to that song and
Great.
then I just
Great song.
spoke. It is, yeah, it is a good song. It's sad, but
Yeah.
I listened to it and then I just spoke.
Mhm.
And I spoke what I was feeling about that topic. And then that ended up being like 85-90% of my final script.
Yeah.
Like I just pieced it out, and then I ended up using all the photos that I printed out, but I just used them digitally. So I printed them all out for no reason. They're sitting in a pile on my desk right now.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just did that. And then from there I was hooked. So I just spent like the next 6 or 7 hours just grinding out this project and doing all the sound design and everything. And then by Sunday morning I was done, and that was that.
Question: was the dedicated to my older brother part in the original draft, or did you add that after?
So it was not in the original draft because I didn't know what John was going to say.
Mhm.
And so I was just going to turn it in with the final draft and have it be like too
It'd be
late
in
for
it.
him to say
Okay.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I had him in mind when I was sharing it because my older brother was a senior in college this year.
Mhm.
And obviously, like basically every senior,
Yeah.
he missed out on a lot of things at the end of the year and a lot of things that people look back on very fondly.
Yeah.
Like my parents talk about their graduation, and it's just a big part of your life to miss.
Right.
And it felt right to kind of put that in there
Gotcha.
because the message really was for him.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's really nice. I was curious because I didn't remember seeing that in the original screening. and then
Yeah,
I saw it in the YouTube video, so I was like, oh, that's nice.
yeah. No, I didn't want John to say no.
Yeah, no, that's smart. That is
Yeah.
that's
But to contextualize for the listeners, we did these projects and everyone in the class did one. And I wasn't gonna bring it up because I didn't want to, but John said he wanted me to bring it up. So we every year in the class, the best documentaries are submitted to WCNY, which is the local PBS station. Sometimes they're submitted together kind of as a package to fill a 30-minute time slot. And this year we wanted to do the same thing with these. Everyone felt that we were touching on a key topic at a very important point in time. And so the kind of plan became that everyone was going to submit their docs when they were finished to a post-production producer, and he would select the 7 or 8 films that would be put together as a package to fill a 30-minute time slot and sent to WCNY. And so we did, and we received them back, and we had a class meeting about it, and it took forever for our teacher to finally say,
a bunch of stories.
yeah, he told a lot of stories and things like that. And ultimately at the end, my film was one of the ones selected and John's was not,
Yeah,
which was a huge surprise to me and to everyone in the class.
yeah.
But
Hey, but look, this is part of the creative process. You're gonna have successes. Luke's got in. It was well more than deserving to get in, and you got failures. So like, you got to use that as motivation. Get up and make some more stuff.
yeah, but all of the films from the class can be found on the YouTube page.
Which,
We may
by
or
the
may
way,
not.
like, I don't think it's up. Like,
Yeah, I don't know what the whole
so, like,
situation is.
yeah. Nothing was set up.
Yeah, so that's whatever.
Yeah, you'll find our actual links, like
Yeah.
direct.
Yeah, one thing that's funny actually is, so I pitched an idea for an intro for the docuseries that looks like a Zoom grid, and that meant that I ended up having to edit said intro. And so I got all this footage from people and I put it together, and then that lives on my YouTube channel. And like our school, not the Ithacan, but our school like wrote an article about it and put it on
I read that.
their page. And at the bottom, also they quoted me and they quoted my film.
I saw that.
But then at the bottom, they put the trailer. It's either at the bottom or the top.
Yeah.
And when you click it and the video ends, there's like the circle of my YouTube page and just a bunch of my YouTube videos from like high school
Yo, free
in
promo.
there. Yeah,
Like,
but that's there. And then actually, I was told one of my friends, she's an editor at the Ithacan, and they're writing an article about our like class project.
sick.
So, yeah.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Promo.
But moving past that, we obviously just talked about how we created some content, and you've mentioned that you have done some videos for your dad.
Mhm.
But how much content have you been consuming during quarantine?
So I think I've been consuming the same amount of like generally I consume a lot of content just on a daily basis. Like I'm one of those guys that lives on YouTube and searches like big creators and small creators. Like I watch everyone's content and I try to search and like gets basically I seek inspiration from everybody's different videos.
Yeah.
So I watch a lot of stuff. I watch a lot of Netflix. And so I think that's stayed consistent in quarantine. Like I've been watching the same amount. But yeah, creating the amount I've been creating with the time I have has definitely been increasing as quarantine progresses because I've been able to work with my dad.
Yeah, it's like basically every day you're like, if I'll text you and I don't hear a response in 5 minutes, I know that you're editing something. Because like usually when you're not doing something, you respond pretty quick. But when you're in the grind, like you're grinding, I'm like, oh, well, not going to hear from him for the next 16 hours.
Yeah.
But so you've been doing that. And then also today you were working on something else, and last week you did something for the Black Lives Matter movements. Like, what were those things that you've been doing recently?
Yeah. So last weekend, or last week in general, was a big week for Boston. A lot of Black Lives Matter centered stuff went on. One of which was like a very large protest that happened. It was a march from Nubian Square to Government Center, and we stopped at we basically they read their demands to the Boston mayor and what they wanted to see as a change and a result of the protest. And I covered that. So I don't have my camera here, which is absolute, like, it sucks. I'm actually going to get it tomorrow from Ithaca. All
Finally.
my stuff is still in my dorm because I did not have the foresight to um, see quarantine and COVID-19 coming. So I had to rent a camera from Lens Pro to go. Luckily, they're the best. So
Not sponsored.
not sponsored.
I mean,
Right?
they could sponsor us. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Anyone
that would
from
be
Lens Pro to
awesome.
Go, if you hear
Yeah,
this, hit us up.
for sure. All love Lens Pro to go. So I got a Canon 1DX Mark III. Got a chance to test that out. Super nice camera. Um, I think I prefer Sony cameras though now that I've switched.
Really?
Yeah, I like just the layout, the user experience, and like even just like the simple feature of like when you put your eye in front of the viewfinder, like
Mhm.
it switches to that in video. Like, I don't know. I think I'm just comfortable with it.
Here's the hot take question.
What's up?
Will you rent and test out the EOS R5?
Absolutely. With
Because
specs like that, like
the
come
EOS R does that same thing where when you bring your eye up to the viewfinder, it
on, does it?
switches. Yeah, because the reason that is because the 1DX Mark III is a
It's
DSLR,
not a
and
mute.
so
Yeah,
it's a mirror
yeah.
that is
Those are mirrors.
reflecting up in a
Yeah,
thing. Whereas when it's mirrorless, it's an electronic viewfinder,
yeah.
so it can switch.
Okay, okay. I'll give it a try. I'll give it a try.
Just saying, you know.
Yeah.
But what'd you do today?
Um, what did I do today? So Peter McKinnon, as we've mentioned, I think about 1,000 times on this podcast, and it's only
Also not sponsored, but if Peter, if you
Peter,
somehow hear this and you want to
hop on the
sponsor us,
pod.
or
Hop on
hop
the
on the
pod.
pod, that'd be even cooler.
What's up? So he put up a video yesterday announcing the 72-hour film challenge, and so my friend and I, who's also a big Peter McKinnon fan, we just decided to get up early today and just film something. So we ended up interviewing a whole bunch of people who are working in like grocery stores, convenience stores, hospital. Like we interviewed someone who like an engineer at a hospital, and we got the perspective on why they are continuing to work during COVID-19, like during the pandemic. And we want to just showcase them in a positive light. These people are the ones that really are making the country stay afloat, right? Because without them, we wouldn't have groceries stocked. We wouldn't have Amazon packages coming to us, mail carriers. So we wanted to showcase their importance. So that's what we worked on. Yeah.
That's cool. Did you
Yeah.
use your friend's camera or did you rent one again?
No. We went iPhone. We went bam, like back to
Run
the
and
basics.
gun.
What'd you say?
Run and gun.
Run and gun. Yeah. I mean, it fits the vibe of the video, so that's why we didn't make it too big of a deal.
Yeah.
Because it's like supposed to show like the chaos of COVID-19. So having it too polished or too stabilized would be a little counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about
Gotcha.
you, bro? Let's talk about you cooking up a storm, doing a lot of landscaping, being
Yeah.
outdoors, doing what you love. Talk about
Yeah.
that.
I mean, you filled your time in quarantine with a lot of video production.
Mhm.
I cannot say the same about myself. I definitely consume a lot of content. Like,
You think it's been more?
uh, maybe. I mean, I watched a lot of movies at school,
Yeah.
but as Professor Bernetta said, as film students, we should be watching at least 3 films a week. So
Yeah.
technically,
It's just homework. We're doing
Yeah,
homework.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's a different kind of consumption now.
Yeah.
Like, first off, I was hit with the dagger of Outer Banks on Netflix,
Still have not watched that.
which is ridiculous. I watched it straight through. Started at 11:30 p.m. on a Thursday and ended
Yeah.
at 7:30 a.m.
I don't know. It hasn't hit me like that yet. Like I haven't been like, damn, I really need to watch this.
Yeah,
But
it's a good show. I wouldn't watch it straight through, but you would enjoy it.
okay.
But then I was slapped in the face with Avatar the Last Airbender when that was put back up on Netflix.
Funny story, actually. So my family and I were trying to figure out what to do, and like, obviously we were bored for majority of the day after we were done doing whatever we were doing. So we were already very big Avatar fans. Like growing up, that's what we watched. My mom is a very big Avatar the Last Airbender fan, so we'd watch it together.
Good.
So we hadn't talked about it in a while, and we were like, you know what? This was before it was on Netflix. Let's go watch it. Where can we find it? So we had to go through all these different websites to go see each episode by episode, because there wasn't like a single place with every single episode on it.
Mm.
So we did that. We watched it all through. A week later, they put it on Netflix, and we're like, really? We could have waited a week and saved us all that trouble of trying to scavenge for the episodes.
Yeah, fantastic show, by the way.
A1 steak sauce, yes.
And to put it into perspective for people, not only is it a good story, but character development wise, the way they animate it with, I'll put air quotes, camera angles, right? And like the way they show things, like for those of you who have seen it, you obviously know that Prince Zuko goes to visit Uncle Iroh in prison a couple times. And sorry to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but if you haven't seen it by now, come on.
Come on, dude.
So he goes in to see him a couple times, and for those of you who don't believe me, you can go look at this scene. You should just watch it anyway. But when Zuko is visiting his uncle, whenever it's showing the uncle, the bars are really close, and you see Iroh's whole body. Like it's almost zoomed out on him. And whenever it's Prince Zuko, his face doesn't even go through the bars. Like he's trapped. And so it's like showing that Zuko is really the prisoner. Like he has all this internal conflict going on. Just things like that are just
that's some film,
fantastic.
That's some Bonetta analysis right there.
Yeah. And we also had a class this semester called Media Aesthetics and Analysis.
Yes.
Where that was a good class when we were there. We literally watched TV episodes in class, and then we would talk about it.
Professor Ghazi.
Yeah. And every paper that we had to write about, like where we watched a TV episode and had to write something, I wrote about Avatar the Last Airbender.
I wrote about, I think one of my papers was about that.
Yeah. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
But
and I think the character development of Zuko is one of the best evil to good narratives in anything, in content.
Yeah.
Like history.
Yeah. It also puts into question the question of, was Zuko ever really evil?
Bad
right?
in the first place, right? Or
yeah,
was he speaking? Well, he says it in the show. He says, I know I was bad, but I'm good now. Well, I thought I was good, but now I know I'm bad, or something along those lines. So like, in his eyes, he always thought he was doing the right thing, right? He was trying to find his honor and return or basically capture the Avatar for his father.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of things, like in the episode where it's the Boiling Rock, and it's the Boiling Rock Part 1. Zuko is undercover and he's in the mess, like the mess hall with the guards, and he's talking with them, and they're just joking around. He's like, "Can I ask you, veteran, some questions?" And this guy says, "No, you can't date the female guards, and you wouldn't want to," right? Something like that. They're humanizing who is regarded as the enemy,
right?
Showing that like they're not all vicious, just all
right. They're all just normal people.
I could talk about it forever. We could have a whole podcast dedicated to talking about.
No, you have no idea.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Let's do it. This is making. We got to analyze content as much as we do talk about creating it.
I mean, we can just keep talking about it right now if we want to. But
yeah, fire. Yeah. What's your favorite season?
3.
3.
I think honestly, just gets better as it goes. I think that's
Yeah,
one of the few shows, like all of the seasons are fantastic, but it's from the very start, you know what it's building up to.
yeah,
Like they make that clear. And so it's just all building up to this point in the development. So by the end, the characters, I'm so invested in the storyline and everything
yeah.
that season 3 just has to be my favorite.
Yeah, that's true. I have two things to say about season 3. It was already incredible, like up into the like right before Zuko joins the team.
Yeah.
But when Zuko joins the team, bro,
Yeah.
the show just like blasts off. Like
Yeah.
it becomes so much better. The second thing I was gonna say is right before Sozin's Comet, I think the creators may have rushed it a little bit. Do you
Like
feel that?
speeding things up a little bit, you mean?
Yeah, like it just goes straight in. Like I wish they had at least like a episode in between where it was just like I don't know. I don't know what they could have done, but I feel like it went super quick right into because this episode before was when they watched that play, right?
So I believe there was the episode where they watched the play,
Yeah.
and then that was like 3 days or 4 days away from the invasion, I think, or from the comet. I think it was 3 days.
Okay.
And then the next episode is the one where they're building sandcastles and Zuko like attacks Aang because he's not taking it seriously, and then Aang disappears with the lion turtle.
Yes.
And so then the time passes kind of like as they're searching for him, and they find like the White Lotus.
Right. Which, by the way, is so badass. Oh my god.
Yeah.
White
Yeah.
Lotus, how everything comes together.
Yeah.
Everybody
Just
that's helping.
the subtle hints throughout the entire thing.
Right. Like the Pai Sho tile.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fire.
Great show. Great show.
What else have you been watching?
A lot of TikTok, honestly.
I'm on TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok. Like I'm
Yeah.
not actively like I think Instagram is still my social media platform of choice where like when my mind goes to nothing, I pull out my phone and I go on Instagram.
Yeah. It's just the interesting thing about TikTok is, and I mentioned this to my family at dinner, is people don't care who they're watching on TikTok,
That's true.
right? Like there are people that they'll follow and there's big creators,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. You could have Joe Schmo from Ohio
Yeah.
dancing to a TikTok song or telling a joke. And if it's funny, you're going to like it and then you're going to swipe.
Yeah. Do you
Right.
know who Gary Vee is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Do
so-
I know who Gary Vee is?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's a stupid question. But yeah, Gary Vee basically that's why he's been preaching to start creating content on TikTok because
Yeah.
it's so open, for the taking and anybody can go viral at any moment.
Yeah. Plus, as Jack explained in the previous episode, TikTok's algorithms are completely different from a lot of other apps, right? Like the For You page is curated strictly on things that you like, right?
Right.
They'll throw some curveballs in there,
Right.
right? See, are you interested in this? Would you be interested in this? Right? But it's curated about who you like, right? Like also like no two people's For You pages are going to be the exact same. And there's like people say there's sides of TikTok, right? Like especially recently there has been, and I've heard from people,
The straight TikTok or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
whether it's like straight TikTok or people are like, oh, I'm on like liberal TikTok or like I'm on
Mhm.
conservative TikTok or like all these different things just based off of people's personalities
Yeah.
and what they like and don't like, which is so interesting.
Yeah.
I think there's no other app that does that.
Does that, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it seems like we've always been in like every year you can say you're in an interesting like year and an interesting time for technology. Like it just keeps getting more and more advanced, more and more intricate and more accessible for so many people. Like for us, bro, like we have so many platforms to make stuff on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And it's also interesting because for the longest time, like since I started making, I'll say videos because I wouldn't categorize them as films, the things I was making in 8th grade.
I still categorize mine as videos. Like everything I make is videos. I like making videos.
Yeah.
Specifically films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way,
Sorry.
the goal was to put it on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
to put it on YouTube, get views on YouTube, get views on YouTube. Here, have people, your friends see it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Now there's such a shift. Like, David Dobrik, right?
Nope. Who's that?
Okay.
Of
So
course, David Dobrik's the GOAT.
yeah, obviously he's one of the most well-known YouTubers. He's got a great
Right.
following. I think he has 18.5 million
Something like that.
subscribers on
But yeah,
YouTube.
his style is something that every YouTuber has now adopted. Like Logan Paul, I mean, he's a very polarizing person, but his vlogs have now changed to match David Dobrik's style because it works.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I will talk about that next because it's so interesting. But
Yeah.
David Dobrik hasn't posted on YouTube since quarantine
Yeah.
started.
Yep.
He's only been posting on TikTok, and now his following on TikTok, it may be larger than what it was on YouTube, but it's also around 18 million. He's doing a mix of he's posting videos from the few people he's living with still,
Right.
but he also is pulling anywhere from 15-second to a minute clips from his other videos and re-showing some of those best moments for people to see and re-laugh at.
Yeah.
But so want to know what's interesting about David Dobrik and his vlogs is, so the two of us talk about him a lot, Colin and Samir. They have a YouTube show called The Breakdown.
2.0.
Yeah. They have a YouTube playlist, like their videos are called The Breakdown, where they break down popular things on the internet. And they did a whole video analyzing why David Dobrik's videos do so well.
Mm-hmm.
And what they concluded is he follows the premise of a sitcom. You know how if you watch Friends, there is a laugh track, and in all sorts of different shows, there's a laugh track.
Yeah.
David Dobrik is always laughing during his videos. He's behind the camera, filming all these funny things that go on, and every time there's something funny, you hear him laugh.
Wow.
And it's the same effect of a laugh track.
Yeah.
People hear him laughing, they like him as a person, they are encouraged then to laugh.
That's nuts. I did not realize that at all, but that is so true.
And that combined with the consistency of his releases and the consistency of the length of his videos. They're all 4 minutes and 20 seconds long.
Right. Or if you look at it from the channel page, 4 minutes and 21.
Because YouTube always adds a second for some reason. I don't know why.
Me neither.
But yeah, so they're all that length, and he's with a consistent cast. If you think about it, there's the core group. They called Vlog Squad, right?
Vlog Squad, yeah. Natalie, all those people. That's really the only person I can.
Yeah, but so it's them, and then they bring in more people, and now the reason he's not uploading is because he feels he can't do the same type of content, which is true because his is
mainly about going out and adventure
and collaborations and stuff like that. And now he's engaging with people in a completely different way. I saw a TikTok today where this kid shot himself with a paintball gun, or had his brother shoot him with a paintball gun every day until David Dobrik noticed and would come shoot him with his paintball gun.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so it went on for 8 days. And I saw the TikTok today where David Dobrik drove to this kid's house to shoot him with his paintball gun.
That's so funny.
And there's that type of engagement with the audience that you couldn't have before.
Right.
And did you see David Dobrik's Chipotle giveaway?
Which one is the good question?
It was I think it was free Chipotle for life, or a year or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That is a huge brand.
Yeah.
Engaging with him, and he's then engaging directly with creators. People can duet his videos. He can duet other people's videos.
Yeah. For sure.
Crazy times, dude.
Nuts. Who are your go-to YouTubers that you watch?
My go-to YouTubers, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to pull up YouTube, and I'm going to read you all my subscriptions.
That too.
I have 60 of them, apparently.
Oh, really? I'm very selective with and that sounds so
See, I feel like I used to be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So at the top, Peter McKinnon. That's the GOAT right there.
Yeah, right there.
Said it once, said it a million times.
Yeah. I think that's 1,000,001 that we did.
Next is Little King Goods, which is leather maker. He was featured on Peter's channel, but I actually discovered him and ordered something from him before Peter did.
Okay. Do they make the knife stuff?
No,
Or
he makes like leather cases. He made an iPad case repeater,
sweet.
and I have a little passport cover that my grandma got me for graduation.
That's cool.
Then
And also
is
adorable.
yeah, MKBHD, Marquez Brownlee.
Of course.
Then Colin and Samir, of course.
Yeah.
Then do you know who Becky and Chris are?
But I've heard of them.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
subscribe to them. They, I just like their content. Chris, he has a helicopter. Like they have a helicopter and he flies it, which I think is cool. And he's, as of late, super into POV drones or FPV drones,
Yeah.
like the super tiny ones.
Yeah. Of
Then obviously, Dude Perfect, you know.
course.
Then is Rivian, which is an electric car company.
Okay.
Um,
It's a good one.
and then I guess let me just pick out the best ones. Binging with Babish. I don't know if you familiar.
Oh, Babish? I thought you said Babin, Tyler Babin.
No, Binging with Babish.
No, I do not know Babish.
It's a cooking channel, and he recreates. You would actually love it. He creates food from TV shows and films.
Oh, that's awesome.
So like people can request it in the comments, or he just will make these famous dishes that you would see in a TV show or a movie, and he's like, "Oh, that looks so good," and then he just makes it.
Sweet. I wrote that in my notes.
Then I'm gonna pick 3 more. Yes Theory, just preaching the yes theory, seek discomfort.
Yeah.
The Making Podcast. I subscribe. You can subscribe to us on YouTube.
Oh, I've
You
heard
should
of
do
that.
that. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
4 kids. 4
Then
kids.
Matt Diavella.
I was just looking at his name right, like on my. That's the guy. He's the guy, man.
Yeah.
His content is so unique. And he invented like a new way of making YouTube videos.
Yeah. And then I'm going to do 3 more.
All right.
Cody Warner,
Okay.
Ajahn Patel,
Bam.
and the OG from back in the day, Casey Neistat.
Casey Neistat.
I was on that wave before he was daily vlogging. Like I'm OG. Like I think he had less than 100,000 subs when I hopped on that wave.
Yeah. Wow.
So
You were on it. You were on it.
what about you? Who you watch?
No, this is horrible. Okay, I'm gonna fix something right now. There we go.
You're not subscribed to me, are you?
Bro, I'm so sorry.
That's
like
horrible.
it never even crossed my mind to like hit that
You know what?
subscribe button, bro.
I'm over it. Just read your other
Hey,
people.
hey, I am now, and I will be for life. Mark my words. All right, so we got yeah, mine are in like alphabetical order, so, and I don't have that many. Okay, so we're gonna start off with Andreas Hem, Fire. I mean, this guy makes like
Yeah.
cinematic films, like actually like Marvel style films.
Yeah.
On his YouTube channel. Incredible person. Worked with Will Smith. Just a great creator and very funny. Another guy, Anik Khan. Okay. Anybody who doesn't know who Anik Khan is, and if you're like Indian or brown, this guy's a Bengali rapper from Queens. Fire music, absolutely fire. And I subscribe to him because he's just awesome. He also has a series on his Instagram if you want to check it out where he like interviews important or like like brown people in the spotlight. So go check out Anik Khan if you want because he's fire. Boston Celtics, because come on, gotta rep the Beantown, you know.
Okay, wait, let me guess real quick. When we get to D, Duke Blue Devils.
Of course, man. Of course, Duke basketball, 100%. Yeah, you got Casey Neistat in the C's.
Yeah.
Another really great creator. I'm sure you know him, Daniel Schiffer.
Yes, I also subscribe to him.
Yeah, Daniel Schiffer's great. Film Riot, Gary V, because Gary V is the GOAT. I mean, like he's great. I love Gary V. Hip Hop Universe and Hip Hop DX. Now these two, if you're a hip hop fan, like these two channels break down everything about hip hop and rap, and they do it in a way where it's like super easy to watch. and you don't have to like sit down and watch like an 18-minute video. They're all super concise, and they talk about just relevant things that are going on in hip hop. So like J. Cole's new song, Snow on the Bluff, bam, it's like it's right there. They made a video within like 4 hours of it coming out. Okay, I did not know I was subscribed to them, but Ithaca College, shout out to them.
Shout out to, also not sponsored, but
Yeah, we should
if they wanted to,
yeah.
hit us up.
Yeah, I didn't know I was subscribed to them, but hey, you know what? Rep the Go Bombers.
Go Bombs.
You know who James Matthews is?
I don't think so.
Okay, so he's like similar to Daniel Schiffer and like Peter McKinnon, makes similar style videos, but he's like this British dude, who makes those kinds of videos. But he's super cool. Jay Shetty. Jay Shetty is essentially the Indian Gary Vee.
Okay.
He's British, and he makes these like positivity style videos, like how to like search within yourself for stuff, like motivation, inspiration type of videos. So like whenever you're feeling creatively down or just negative, you should go to Jay Shetty and check out some of his videos. Mark Bone, he's cool. Then you got Peter McKinnon, I said that. Matty Hupoya.
Mm-hmm.
And Vice. Vice is the last one to top it off. And then Matt DiVella.
Yeah.
Yeah, that runs through my entire subscribed list.
Cool, man. And I mean, like you said, you search for people everywhere. Like there's a lot of people whose videos I watch, but I guess I just don't subscribe.
Yeah.
Or like I watch one video and I'm like, that was super cool.
Right. Especially when you go down those YouTube rabbit holes. Like,
yeah,
you could definitely there's definitely people. Oh, and Patriot Act. I missed that one.
Okay.
Patriot Act is a great one.
Yeah. So
Gary Vee, Anik Khan, and Hassan Minaj are good friends, and those three are like some of my
the
top.
Trifecta.
It is. It's the three-headed monster. But yeah.
Well, I think with that, I mean, we can call it here.
Yeah.
Call it an episode.
It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of went all over the place a little bit.
It did.
Exploring the title now. I'm thinking adapting, Avatar, and then I need a third thing to kind of sum up our discussion about. Thanks for taking the time to listen as we had a conversation about quarantine, Avatar, and creative platforms. Please let us know what you think of the podcast by writing a review, or let us know what you want to hear by leaving us a voice message on Anchor. We'd love to hear from you. That's it for this week's episode of Making. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you again in 2 weeks.